You've got like a little flashy light. I mean, I used to do a countdown, but that seems so scripted. So I think it's best
Whatever
just
you want, it's fine by me.
and just sort of start off. So hello, welcome to another episode of Sit Down for Stand Up. I have with me today Andrea. How's it going, Andrea? We
Andrea,
good? And
Andrea.
Andrea, sorry.
It doesn't matter. Like, do you know what? It really doesn't matter. It happens sort of every single time I'm brought on stage. I think everyone must know an Andrea, and it doesn't matter. Irish people almost refuse to say it my way. I don't think they can.
But is it sort of like being like the British thing? We just put vowels,
I
like
do not
we
know.
put capital letters in the middle of sentences.
I don't know. I say Andrea. They say nice to meet you, Andrea, and I there's very little I can do about it.
Yeah, because we
I
put capital
accept
on the
it.
A,
Yeah,
Andrea,
Andrea.
Andrea.
Yeah. It feels to me like that's a very British way of saying it, and Andrea is a bit more like Mediterranean, but you can't stop people doing what they want to do, and it really doesn't matter that much. Do you know what I mean?
But well, there are some things like with like Kieran. I think there's like four different ways to spell it. So I always like pissed off my uni mate back in the day by purposely spelling it wrong every time. Then
Well, yeah, that would really irritate someone if you purposely did something wrong.
what are you going to do with your friends? You're not going to be nice to them, are you? If you notice
Well,
that
that's quite a
angle,
male thing. We're nice to our friends, but mean behind their back. You're mean to their face and then nice behind their back.
it's circle of life. So I usually start with the same question. How and why did we get into comedy?
It's not a particularly interesting story, to be honest with you. I just fancied it, so I tried it. I think I was, had just been dumped,
Okay.
and I did a storytelling night that my friend was running, and told the story about how I'd just been dumped and how I couldn't quite get over it. So I kept like checking his social media and stuff till it drove me mad, which I think is a pretty normal thing to do, but it made me feel like it made me sort of think about if I was doing the same things I was doing online,
Mm.
offline, I'd be considered insane, but online, it's a secret. And it just like I just sort of did that story and people laughed, and I was like, oh, okay, that's actually really fun. And I'd always been quite annoying in parties, trying to be the funniest person. And at dinner with my family, it just felt very normal to go and try it. And once I tried it, I was like, oh, I could do this here and not be annoying at home. And I think I did get like 40% less annoying.
Okay. And so, what sort of comedy do we do on the stage? I mean, I know I've seen your stuff, but
Well, I don't know how to answer that. It's not, I wouldn't say it's, oh, you've got a little dog. I wouldn't
dogs
say,
come in
oh, I
locally. Yeah.
love dogs. I wouldn't
Yeah.
say it was although I think if you ever talk to a child like you talk to a dog you've just met, like, oh, you're so cute, come and sit on my lap, it would be really weird. Um I what kind of comedy? The other day a man came up to me and said, "Excuse me, I think your comedy is a little too dark." And I was like, "Too dark for what?" And then I was like, don't give unsolicited advice, go away. And I don't really know how to even like I guess you call it dark. I don't think it's dark. I think it's just what I find funny. I don't know that it follows the same rhythm as stuff that works really, really, really well. Like I find analogies quite difficult. But I like telling stories.
Okay. So, would you say you sort of write your comedy for yourself or for the people?
No, I want other people to laugh. It's not for me. You can't write comedy for yourself and then take it on stage. And if it doesn't work, you'd be like, well, it was just for me. No, it's definitely for other people to laugh at. I don't think I get everyone in the room though. Like, I'd love to get everyone in the room, but I often get like one part of the room and then the next part of the room and then the next part of the room. But as long as you acknowledge it, it tends to be okay. But yeah, ideally, I say everyone would laugh. I don't know that if you aim for absolutely everyone, you're aiming for anything interesting, but then if you do get everyone in the room laughing, it may not be interesting, but it's certainly successful.
I meant more perspective, like so like, do you write the jokes so what you find funny yourself?
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't put a joke in your set because it's funny, even if it's something you just didn't care about.
Well, I think I would, because like to sort of save you from a disastrous gig or from a
Mm.
gig that's really, really hard, you have like an opener that you might not think is the funniest thing in the world. It should hopefully suit you and it should suit the rest of your comedy so you don't kind of lie to them. But no one loves their opener. It's just there because they need to make people laugh straight away. It may not be the best work you've ever done. I
Mm.
was with a friend the other day who's like, I need an opening joke because otherwise it takes 30 seconds for a laugh and that's too long at the top. I was like, yeah, it is too long at the top. You need a joke that opens straight away. So we were like workshopping some jokes and he was like, oh God, I really hate all of these. I was like, you can hate them all you want, but you need to make them laugh within 3 seconds. Um, and if it's not going to be some amazing thing that you think is the most insightful thing in the world, it should at least say something about you. But
Mm.
mostly, more importantly, it should just make people laugh straight away. That was some advice I got immediately that I started. Make them laugh straight away the second you get on stage. You don't have time to waste.
Okay. So I always struggle on the complete flip side of that. My open's solid. I'm happy with it. It always works. I always feel like I'm closing though, and it's just like, you know, close joke, and then it's just that's it, the end.
How do you mean?
So like I'll give you like like example. My set currently ends on so I do a bit basically. I do a shock value saying, oh, I'm not a fan of gay marriage. Shock value.
Right,
That's it. It's because when a man and woman get married, a woman has to work an extra 6 hours a week on average, and a man gets an hour less a work week because the
right.
woman does so much. So gay people have more time on their hands.
Yeah,
So it's unfair.
yeah,
There's a play on that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then I end it with sort of like, oh, okay, no. So then I go along the bit of um let me do this. So I go along the bit of, like, oh, a gay guy heckled this at me. I shouldn't be saying this, and he called me like, like a cunt. But it's irrelevant because he knows nothing about them. If he called me a dick, I'll take it personally. And
Oh,
then
okay.
it follows on with like, oh, a woman tried to insult me once, calling me a cunt. Actually, she wouldn't have done that. She doesn't have enough time in the day.
Right.
And then it just sort of ends there.
And do you get a big laugh?
I do get a laugh all the way through it, but then I feel like I've just tried to add more and more to try and create like a penultimate.
Well, you should stop on the biggest laugh, probably, shouldn't you?
Hmm. But I feel like
Like,
am I cutting the story short, or does that not matter?
well, I don't know. The thing that I think is if you're doing a joke at the end and your biggest laugh is in the middle and then you get a tinier laugh at the end, that's not the right place to stop. The right place to stop is on the really big laugh. You get a really big laugh and then you say, I've been whoever, and then you leave.
Okay.
I would leave on the biggest laugh. Like leaving on the second biggest laugh does not feel like a good way to end.
No, yeah. Well,
Oh,
I'm a fairly new comic. I've only been going for 3 months.
oh, okay.
So like this is advice like Joe, that I'm still absorbing. That's why it's fantastic to talk to comedians like yourself and sort of understand. So
Yeah,
you'd
I would
say,
always leave on the biggest laugh. You don't leave on the second. The second biggest laugh should be before the biggest laugh, not right after.
mm, okay, so I need to like move around to find the.
I think so. Yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah, like if something's not working because you got to end on the biggest laugh. When you
Mm.
end on not the biggest laugh, it's not a great ending for them. It's not a great ending for you. It doesn't feel good.
But I don't know if I'm delivering it correctly. Like I've done it on stage two, three times. I feel like I need. I mean, how many times would you try a joke on stage before you bin it or
Well, some
puke
people
it?
say 3 times, but that's 3 times if the joke is like I don't know, formed. But if you're trying to form a story, it can take weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to form the story, and it's almost never done.
Mm,
Like I'm trying to do this story at the moment, but it's not done. It doesn't have an ending. I'm doing it on stage, but it doesn't have an ending yet. But it's in progress. Been in progress for about 6 weeks. So I'm trying to find the through line, the reason I'm telling the joke, because it's a little story about a little side job I did that was really funny. But, I know why I'm telling it because it's really funny, but there has to sort of be a reason, in my
mm,
opinion. I don't know if that's how everyone feels. It can't just be funny because it was funny. It has to be funny in a way that you deliver it with jokes. So that's like if I just tell the story by itself, it means it was funny at the time to me and it's not funny at all. But if I
mm.
tell the story with all the jokes that I've written to put in it, then it can become funny for me and funny for them. But it's not good enough yet by a long way. It's very much a work in progress.
Okay, and how often would you say you do new material?
I do new material like every week.
Every single time?
yeah, every week I'll try and get on somewhere to do new material. So yeah, you want to find somewhere or set up your own night where you can do new material every single week. Because it's hard
Okay.
to do new material, especially if you're new. It's hard to do new material at a tryout night. Like if you're
Mm,
trying out for a big club, you're not going to want to do new material. But then how are you going to get that 10 perfect? You've got to
yeah.
try it a lot. So I mean, I assume you're doing loads of open mics.
I'm doing open mics. I've got my first 10 on Saturday.
Oh, that's great. Where's that?
Monkey to do Martin Bossman's gaff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Monkey Business Comedy Club. Yeah, I got my first 10 there, which I'm quite happy with because I've only done 10 gigs.
Oh, that's great. That's
So,
brilliant.
so I feel like I am progressing quite quickly. But then, okay, let me ask from this way. I'm I on paper, I've probably got about 53 pages of written stuff. How do you know when you're ready to move up to the next level?
What do
Because
you mean the next
so
level?
you know, like I've done fives. I've got a lot of different fives, but I've never actually done a full 10. How do you know when you're ready to go from 5 to 10, 10
So I
to
don't think you're ever
20?
going to feel ready for anything.
Just
Like, I don't know. I don't know. I think that the only time you're ready is if you do something. So, like, you've got a 10 on Saturday, so you'll do the
Mm,
10. And if the 10 goes badly, it doesn't mean you're not ready. It just meant the 10 goes badly. So then you do another 10. Like, ready is like some people were born ready to do an hour. I was much slower. I used to sort of like agonize over every single like little sentence and every single little
mm,
joke. Took me a long time to get, but if you're, I wasn't super brave about it, but then one day I was just like, whatever. So like, the first time I ever MC'd ever was at
mm.
the Glee Club
Okay.
because I was there for my very first weekend, and it was a Thursday, and all the other acts were booked to do a charity gig run by the Glee outside of the Glee, so they had to rotate. So they
Mm,
needed me to MC. I'd never MC'd in my life, and suddenly I'm MCing at a really big club. And I was freaking out. And my agent said to me, if you say no, they're going to think you don't know what you're doing. You have to do this. So
mm,
I just did it. And it was, it went really well. It wasn't like the best MCing because it was my first time. And that's
mm,
not the place you want to do your first MCing, is the biggest club. But
mm.
if I'd said no, because I wasn't ready, if I'd said no, I would have like all their faith would have been, I probably would have lost the weekend. So kind of aren't ever ready. You
Okay.
just have to step in and be prepared for it to go badly, you know?
Okay. And how was the transition from going from doing, your sets to emceeing?
Well, for me, it was really hard because I'm not naturally particularly friendly. So, I'm not a natural MC, but I force myself to learn because I think it's a really, really good skill to have. So I did it and I did it and I did it until it became a really comfortable thing. And now I really like doing it. But some people are just naturally friendly. And some people hate emceeing and never want to do it and never put themselves in a position of being able to do it. But if you can MC, you'll get a lot more work.
Okay. And
And if
how
you, if you
how'd you find the
MC,
crowd
you
work
can,
side of it?
sorry?
How'd you find the crowd work side of emceeing?
Yeah, I really like it. But again, that's trial and error. Like if you start MCing and you're bad at crowd work, that doesn't mean you're going to be bad at crowd work. It just means that that was a new thing. Like, it's like anything. The difference between what we're doing and other crafts is that you'll be able to practice not in front of people. So you can be really shit at something until you're
Mm,
good at something for ages, like piano or whatever. But you can't be shit at this without humiliation and pain. Like while you're learning, you're going to have terrible times. It's going to be
okay.
terrible.
Okay. So from the MC perspective, say if someone goes on and they absolutely bomb, they absolutely piss the crowd off,
Yeah,
tasteless jokes, all that. Well, not tasteless, like tasteless jokes done badly.
yeah.
How would you sort of bring the room back together?
Oh, so you mean if like an act goes on and
If an
bomb?
act absolutely, like did pissed everyone off.
Well, I guess at that point, your job is to make it better for the next act. So you've got options, like you can take the piss out of the act that just left, which if they just bombed, I wouldn't do. But if they'd been really offensive, I might do to
Yeah.
sort of bring everyone back together. But if they just bombed because they just had a bad gig or they weren't very good, I certainly wouldn't turn on them and be nasty to them.
Hmm.
I'd just be like, that was a disaster, wasn't it? I might just be like, right, well, moving on or something. Just bring the room back so that the next act has an okay time, just reset the room by I would do that by probably either ignoring what just happened if it was just a shame, or if the person had been really offensive, I would just yeah, I would sort of acknowledge it was awful
Hmm.
and reset by saying you needed to reset and ask some more questions, like innocuous questions.
Okay, interesting. And going on that topic, what sort of I like asking this question. What is the worst thing you've seen someone do on stage?
Well, you mean like the worst joke?
Worst joke, worst moment, you know, something you've experienced someone
Um,
do.
God, I don't know. Everyone's bombed. Like
Yeah.
so many people. I do remember seeing this one person. It wasn't really, we were all kind of laughing about it. They didn't do anything wrong. It was just that they were humongous online,
Mm,
massive online, and they'd never, ever, ever done a gig before. But I think they thought that doing sketches online and coming and doing sketches in real life live would
mm,
be the same thing. So they were a little bit cocky, and the rest of us were like, all right, we're going to watch this one.
mm,
And it just watched 20 minutes of almost total silence. And and it was just, it was quite funny to watch because they didn't understand what was going wrong. And what was going wrong is a million followers online has absolutely nothing to do with live comedy.
mm.
And so, yeah, I guess there was a little bit of enjoyment of watching. Just, they weren't, there was no like terrible thing they did. They just did an act that worked online on stage and it was a disaster.
Do you think because with online media now, um, there are some absolute made online phenomenal people who absolutely killing it doing sketches. Some skills will transition
Yeah,
over.
loads will. Yeah,
The only way to get good on stage is to be on
be
stage.
on stage. Yeah, it
And
is.
do you feel like they try and rush the process because they're online? They won't do their open mics, their 5 minutes. They'll instantly look at themselves as a
I've got no
superstar.
idea what people do. This is just one person. Most of the people I've seen do really well online are already completely good stand-ups. So
Mm,
if they get really big online, then they can then tour off the back of it because they've already put the work in. I've as far as people who get big online who haven't put the work in, I don't see them coming to the stage very often, and I don't know why they would, to be perfectly honest with you, and they're doing so well online. This was just, I wouldn't know, I don't know if it was an isolated incident. It was just one guy who I'd never even met before and had never seen his sketches or anything. And I watched them and they were funny. Um, but I don't know that people are doing that. I don't know how many people are going from massive online to trying to do live without really putting the work in. But yeah, you've got to put the work in. But if I were massive online, I don't know that I'd necessarily bother going to an
mm.
open mic, you know. It depends
Yeah,
how much you want to be a good stand-up. Like, if you're really big online, why would you care?
yeah, true. Because I think stand up is like the penultimate form of comedy.
Well, you do, but other people might not, and I'm not sure that's necessarily an objective truth. Like, if like there are some sketches that are absolutely incredible. I can't do sketch. I think that they're amazing, and if they can translate to stand-up, that's brilliant. And if they can translate to the stage, that's also brilliant. That doesn't mean they're not brilliant on online if they
No,
can't translate to the stage. I mean, I love live stuff, but I'll watch it. Like if there is someone brilliant, like I watch certain sketches that really make me laugh. I don't know how well they do on live stage, but yeah,
yeah, I
I
always
have a
respect the
different view.
camera angles. I've always been terrible at filming.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't look great on film either.
I was so going back to doing MCing and crowd work. Um, Crowd work I know is one of the things that a lot of comedians do worry about. What if someone says something and I haven't got a response, or if I ask someone a question and it's something I can't think of something funny. Do you sort of have like a process in your mind that you
No,
you go
no
through?
process. You will. It's. I don't have any like jokes in the bank or anything like that. I don't have any of that. Um, I'm fairly quick conversationally. I used to worry about it, but the thing is that if you've done enough, it just comes. It comes with, so there will be times where, yeah, that does happen. You don't do, you're going to fail. You're going to fail a lot. Like someone will say something, it'll be funnier than anything you've said. And then the next time you'll be ready for it. But if you don't, like, you're going to fail a lot. And it was really difficult at first to accept that. But the sooner you accept that, the easier it gets. So, like, someone will shout something out. The next time someone shouts something out, I will, on the train home the first night, I've thought, oh, I should have said that. I should have said that. I should have said that. And the next time it happens, I'll say that and it will seem really quick and amazing to everyone else. And by the time you've been doing it for a couple of months, all those things are ready, but they're not ready. You don't like get them ready. They're just there, you know? And
Mm.
sometimes someone says something that's really boring and you turn around to the crowd and you say, I've got no idea what to say to that. And that gets a laugh. Because a lot of times, if you're just being honest, I don't like, I've seen people MC who, like, there's this guy called Ross Smith who's a brilliant MC, and he's so much better at coming up with jokes on the fly than I am. I can be funny, but I won't come up with brilliant jokes. He's really quick with the analogies and the you look like this and you look like this. I'm not good like that, but I can make them laugh through other means. But you're always going to find someone you think is better than you. And I'm sure he looks at people and thinks they're better than him. And it doesn't really matter as long as you're holding the room.
Mm. Okay, okay, because I still think, yeah, it's one of them challenge things. But like I say, it's one thing you've got to experience and learn as you go along.
Some people are naturals. I've seen some people who are just naturally really good at talking to people and really good at turning stuff into funny stuff. Um, I had to do it a lot to be good at it. And some people are just, yeah, more natural at it. I would say I'm better at doing sets, but that doesn't mean I'm a bad MC. But sometimes people are surprised that I MC because I'm not a particularly friendly person. Um, but some people are really friendly and not particularly good MCs because they can't think of anything in the moment. But
Okay,
again, it comes with practice more than anything else. Like some people are naturals, but just because you're not a natural at something does not mean you won't get really good at it.
okay, let's try. And so with like so like we're talking about social media and how like it's sort of evolved a little bit. Do you think with there's a lot of crowd work reels going on at the moment because they're great for views.
Yeah.
Has that sort of like changed the sort of like heckling community, the heckling people in the circuits?
So I'm not really big on Instagram. I was a really late adopter, so I've got a very small following, and I don't do a lot of videos because I was never that into like, I have a lot of issues with what I look like on stage and on camera and stuff. So I'm kind of in the process of really trying to get over that. So not speaking from my own personal experience, but I've noticed that everyone tapes stuff, but I noticed the heckling process getting worse? Not really, not from my experience. I don't think heckling is such a big thing. Like people are like when you start, you're terrified of hecklers, but it's not really like I don't, generally speaking, I don't get that many hecklers, and most people I know don't get very many hecklers. Hecklers happen like on a certain night when the night is really rowdy and sometimes it's just not going to work for comedy regardless. So then the hecklers yell and you say something back or whatever. The worst thing is more like when people are just talking amongst themselves. That's much worse than heckling. And then you have to decide, am I going to address this because they're irritating me and they're irritating the people around them? And if I address it, will I come off like a bitch? Have I got enough time to address it? Am I going to be funny when I do it, or am I going to come off like a school mother? Is it going to turn people against me? Is it going to like disrupt the flow? If you've only got 5 to 10 minutes, it's often not worth it. You just get louder. But I don't think I've noticed hecklers getting worse. I've noticed more comedians setting up video cameras at the back when I'm not sure I would have personally videoed myself at that point. But I'm certainly not sure I would have put out a clip of myself at that point. But then everything's different now?
Mm.
So
Do you
who am
think
I
you
to
should
tell them
record
what to do?
yourself?
Huh?
Do you think new comedians should record themselves on every set?
I think people should do whatever they want to do. I am personally of the opinion, just for me personally, like there's zeitgeist, people do the thing. I think you should record yourself. I mean, I record myself audio all the time so that I can listen back. But I guess I'm not the right person to ask because, like I said, I'm not got a huge following online. If I recorded myself every time and put up clips of stuff that I don't think is good enough, but that doesn't mean that somebody else wouldn't think it was good enough for them. But I'm very meticulous about jokes. Someone said to me the other day, "Can we put this clip up?" I was like, "No, the joke's not finished." And they're like, "Oh, it doesn't matter." I was like, "It matters to me." And I'm probably the idiot there because maybe I get loads of engagement from an unfinished joke, but I want the joke to be finished and good. But then a lot of people think that this whole trend of crowd work is over, and that people are going to want jokes next. I think you should always do what you want to do. So if you're brand new and you want to record yourself and put it up there, you should put it up there because my opinion is probably not as good for engagement. It's just my opinion. My opinion is that I love jokes. I love routines. I think they are really special and amazing, and that's what I want to watch. But I fully acknowledge that that doesn't get the kind of engagement that a quick quip gets, you know?
Hmm. Okay. And do you think a comedian should have sort of like a benchmark of where they should be after X amount of gigs?
So you keep saying should, and I feel like should is what I learned in therapy is that should is kind of a judgment on oneself. Like I should be much further along because I started with a lot of people who are really famous now, but there are things that I did that were different than them that have, either delayed that or there are things that I do on the side that I'm much better at than
Hmm.
this, like this, let's say online engagement. I've written a lot, I've written for other people a lot. So it's sort of I think probably some people would say yes, the types of guys with a 5-year plan would say yes, and they're probably right. But I think if you decide, like that, I know some people who are really big now, but took 15 years to get there, 15 years in the wilderness, who wished they could have got there sooner. But I can't think of a single thing they could have done harder. They couldn't have worked harder, they couldn't have been more talented. And for whatever reason, they didn't get on TV if that was their goal. They didn't get to tour if that was their goal. Um, and now they are. So it's more about your personal choice. If you sort of go, I don't want to do this for 15 years and not have a house or a wife or a life or whatever, it's up to you. But I don't know that I mean, I know someone who's been, in literally just working for 20 years and finally they broke onto the scene. 20 years is a long time to not know whether you're going to quote unquote make it.
Hmm.
So some people would say yes, because some people could not handle the uncertainty. And also,
Yeah.
some people will never make it, whatever
I,
happens. But somebody told me early on, Charlie Brooker, I think it was. No, not Charlie Brooker, sorry, Charlie. Oh, I can't remember his surname, but he's lovely. And he said, making it to me means being good enough to play the big clubs. And I was like, that's a really nice, not low bar, it's not a low bar, but it's a really achievable bar. And then he said everything else is like, you need to want it, you need to work towards it, but you may not get it. You are completely in control of becoming as good as you can be, but you aren't in control of whether they want to put you on TV or whether that sitcom you wrote gets made. I mean, you're in control of it more now because you can make shit yourself and put it on the internet. And there is a level of control there. But before, you're only in control of making yourself really good, I think.
mm, so when with the whole should bit, unfortunately I'm one who has to set metric targets.
Yeah, I think you'll do
Uh,
that. I think that's probably, you mean you'll do really well if you set those metric targets.
well, I don't know about like, if hitting them is a complete different thing, but even for say for like Instagram followers, TikTok followers, Facebook followers, I set myself like weekly targets, like
Jesus. I
months in
mean, look, I
advance.
should do that. I am really bad at that stuff. It's never been something I've enjoyed, and it took me ages to realize that I didn't have to enjoy it, that it was part of a business, but I still find it really stressful. It gives me mad anxiety, but if I had metrics like you, I would probably it would probably be more successful, I think you're probably right about metrics.
Mm. But then can you obsess over them, like looking at every single
You tell
single
me.
view? You do, yeah. Basically, yes, you do. You
I
become
mean, I
absolutely
obsess over
obsessed.
how much I weigh. So like when I'm sort of, like going on a health kick or whatever, I will measure I will weigh myself every single day. Oh, now I'm this number, tomorrow I'm this number. But again, I still don't set metrics. I just kind of watch it and I'm like, oh, that's good. That's going in. I kind of go, oh, that's in the right direction of down. So if I'm getting a few more followers, I'm like, oh, that's in the right direction of up. But look, I think you're probably and definitely a lot more correct than I am. And whether one obsesses is I mean, I assume one would obsess, right? Like, what do you
Yeah,
set? What's your target per week? Is it like a couple of hundred or 1,000 a week?
well, I started the Instagram I started 27 days ago, and I'm on 132 at the moment.
Yeah.
And I want to do a 1.25x increment every week.
And what made you pick that
That's target
number?
because it's just one I completely plucked out the air. And I thought that is a nice steady flow. Same with like YouTube views. I mean, I'm quite fortunate at the moment. The episodes are getting about between 500 and 750 downloads an episode,
That's good.
and it's only at the beginning. But I don't. I just set
What do
that
you do
target.
then? What do you do to bring it to that? Is it more sort of pushing it on different places? Like, what are your actions?
Push it in all of them. Analyze the keywords, hashtags that need to get chucked onto things. I'm taking a little bit more time doing video editing and sort of yeah, looking trying to see what's going right, what's going wrong,
Do
And
you use any particular tools to analyze sort of keywords and stuff like that?
um, Tube Buddy on
Tu-
YouTube.
Tune Buddy,
Tube,
Tube Buddy. Oh,
Tube
okay, that's
Buddy.
interesting.
That's quite a good one. One I have done, which I've seems to be going quite well on Instagram. If you're a new comedian, steal this idea 100%. You get about 5,000 ones you can do on a comment section. So just do a couple of spaces after you've done your like initial, important bit, and then just write comedy in Norfolk, comedy in Essex, comedy in Manchester, because they'll be the most searched things. That'll be a niche for them. So
Okay.
you'll fit a small enough band, but it's easily repeatable.
And
Comedy in Scotland.
how did you learn that? Just
I
something that
just something I figured out.
yeah.
Just so I dicked about, tested them. That one seemed to work well. Rule of three almost again. Like I did it well with that one. Let me try another one. Yep, did it well again. Another one again, and
And
then
you when you say it did well, you mean it got you more
it
followers?
got more followers. And the following bit is important to me, but it's more about the views because you get the
Yeah.
views, the followers will come.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You get the followers, the likes will come.
Yeah.
But also a bit of a cop out. But is I love one good thing about doing a podcast is I'm always collaborating with people, so I'm
Yeah.
getting their people as well. So that's why it
Yeah,
might
yeah, yeah,
seem
definitely.
quicker
Which is
than
good. Yeah.
other ones. Like Ali Woods, I had on his one comes out today. He's just done a story about it.
I mean, he
Oh,
is, yeah, you get Ali Woods to retweet it, you're immediately going to get, I mean, you get me to retweet it, you're going to get almost no views. But if you get him to do it, he's a brilliant comic, but also he's
he's great.
so good at social. Like,
Yeah,
and what's great about Ali is that he is very consistent.
and he's a nice bloke.
Oh, he's
And
lovely.
I think being a nice person on the circuit is also a major part of the
It's
battle.
not that hard,
It ain't
just
hard to be a
be
dick.
nice. It's really not that hard. He's a lovely person. He works incredibly hard. He's a good comic. He does really well in a room. He's very good on social. He's great.
I yeah, big fan of him. Eddie Brimson as well. I've had him on. I know you did your set with
Yeah, I
him.
really like Eddie. Really enjoy
Yeah,
Eddie.
I got
Really
Lou
good
coming on.
person. Huh?
I got Lou coming on.
Lou's great. Such a sweetheart. Lovely person. Really, really funny comic.
She's absolutely. But I'm really looking forward to that one. So with I always love asking this question because we're going 14 years. What has been your favourite moment on stage, and what time did we bomb the hardest? Because everyone's bombed.
I bombed the hardest at a gig in Butlins.
Okay,
I bombed the hardest in Butlins. It was like there's this band called Madness. You probably
yeah,
wouldn't have heard of them. Oh, you have.
dude,
Well,
dude,
I don't know how old you are.
dude. It doesn't
Um,
matter how old I am if you've not heard of Madness.
okay, fair
There's a
enough.
problem.
Yeah, fine. In Madness, they've got a particular type of fan base, and
Yes.
they're not really after a Northwest London middle class Jewish girl talking about the Holocaust. So, so it was like a Madness weekender. They have like Madness playing both nights. Everyone's staying at Butlins. It's like a sea of bald men and a couple of really scary women. And I was on with some really, really like hardcore club comics who can just work any room.
Hmm.
And I had the kind of the spot that I don't know. I think they must book it for their own amusement because the booking on that spot always has a really terrible time. Like it's sort of notorious now. There's like a group of us who've done the Butlins gig and bombed so hard that it scarred us for life. Like bombed in front of, I think it was about
Oh,
1,800
oh,
people. Oh, very good. Yes,
thank you,
scarred us for life.
thank you.
Um, no, yeah, that's very Mark Simmons of you. I wouldn't even think of that. Um, yeah, no, I bombed really hard in front of them. They were throwing bottles. They were calling me a cunt. It was horrendous. I managed 12 out of my 20 minutes. And then because there was like a group of women who wanted to beat me up, so they took me through the kitchens and I sat on the bus for ages, like just waiting to leave Butlins to get to the station. And as soon as the bus was like not leaving for 40 minutes, so I just sat there like this for 40 minutes waiting for the bus to leave. As soon as the engine went on, I burst into tears, didn't stop crying until I got to London. Wasn't sure if I would ever do stand up again, but got back up the next night so that I could just get rid of it, which, yeah, got rid of it. That was the worst experience for sure.
How do you
Bottles thrown at
how
my
do you
head. That was crazy.
'cause I do ask every single person on here who what their worst moment was. How do you overcome that and get back on the stage?
Get back on the
Just
stage. Just get back
perseverance
on
and
the stage. The thing is, like, I was really quite new then, so I didn't quite understand just how little a bad night means. A bad night means a lot
Yeah.
at the time. And when I say it means little, it doesn't actually mean little. And not to be so like, I don't want to be like a Pollyanna about it, but it was a huge learning curve. Like, it would be different now. They probably would still not like me, but I don't think I'd fall apart the way I did then. And I think I'd stay for the full time, and I think I'd handle it differently. I know I would.
Mm.
I still don't think I'd be the right booking for that, particularly, to be honest with you. But I would know how to handle my being the wrong booking better now. What did I learn from that? I learned that a gig like that will not actually physically kill you. Like,
No.
that you will be alive after that gig. That is just about the worst you can feel, and that you can still go back and do your job even after feeling the worst you can possibly feel. That, yeah, like, I don't know, like, how it doesn't stop you doing a job. A tennis player breaks an Achilles heel, they can't work for like
Mm.
6 months. I can work the next day if
Yeah.
I choose to be mentally strong. And I did. And it's not like, but that stayed with me. That made me feel sick every time I thought about it. Like, it was a nightmare situation.
Okay. And I will ask you your favorite moment, but I want to quickly go back to at one point you said it wasn't the right room for you, which completely understandable. Do you think being a new, like say, like someone starting out in comedy, they should do every room they possibly can, or do you think
Yes.
you would sort of learn your audience?
I don't know. I don't really know about your audience. Like, I am of the opinion that whilst you shouldn't try and make your comedy for everyone, you should try and make everyone laugh. Do you know what I mean? Like, so even if I've got some people laughing by default because the joke is good, but they absolutely hate it, like, you see some people going, you may have hated the content of that, but you've got to admit the joke was perfect. Like, I heard someone say that the other day. I can't remember. I listened to a lot of comedy. I can't remember who it was that I was listening to, but it was a perfect joke, but it was full of awful stuff, and you can see, like, someone who doesn't like awful stuff still laughing at the joke because it's
Mm,
funny. Um, which I think is what anyone should aim for, really. I'd love to make the whole room laugh, but not because the comedy is generic. But again, I don't have a problem with generic comedy. It's not what I want to listen to, but it's your night out. Do you know what I mean? And there's some, like, even watching somebody, let's say, doing something quote unquote generic, but killing it in a room, that's not nothing. That's everything. You know what I
mm.
mean? So, yeah. What was the question?
So like should a comedian like do every single room starting out?
Yeah, you should do everything you're offered, because there'll be a point at which you're like, oh, I know that's going to be a nightmare, and I don't need that lesson anymore. Like, someone offers me something, and it's like, it's going to be here, it's going to be here, and I'm like, oh, that's the ingredients for a terrible night that I'm going to have to travel an hour to get to, and I'm going to get paid almost nothing. I
Mm.
don't need that lesson. I've had that lesson. I've learned that lesson 3 or 4 times. And you can tell, you can start to tell, but at the beginning, you have no idea what things are going to be like, and you should do every single one of them, in my opinion.
Okay. And also we'll highlight and what's been your favorite, like one of your favorite moments on stage?
I don't know that I have any one favorite. Like, when you get to, like, do a club that you've been wanting to do and they want you back, that's huge. Like, when I got to headline the Stand after, starting
Mm.
out, trying out of the Stand after a few years, that was amazing. Um, Also, like, almost sometimes not doing well and getting asked back, so that someone actually has, like, real faith in you as a person, as a comic,
Oh.
where they're like, wasn't the best, okay, see you next month. That's
Mm.
a really good feeling. But, like, on stage, like, a round of applause is a good thing. The good ones don't stick out the way the bad ones do, because that's, you'll have a sea of people laughing and loving you, and you'll focus purely on the person who's got their arms crossed, and who isn't laughing. Good ones do not stick out for me. There've been loads and they've been lovely. Although Mick Ferry said to me the other day, he said, every time I've gigged with you, you look out and go, they're going to hate me. Then you come off and go, they hated me. And it doesn't matter what kind of gig you've had, and you've always had a good one. And that's just who you are. You've never, ever once thought you've done well. And I was like, oh. So in my mind, I guess I've never had a good gig, but I've had loads of good gigs. They don't stick out to me. And also because I'm very negative.
Is
So,
that yeah, the British pessimisticness?
yeah. Well, not all Brits, but I am particularly negative and hard on myself. By the way, I don't know how long we're going to talk for, but in about
Right,
5 minutes,
I've got about
I
two
can
minutes.
come back, but I have to go and
No, so
grab.
I've only got one question left. It's
Okay.
sort of a new one. Um, it's so I had it the other day. I was watching someone do a set, and their whole set was just ripped off and stolen from another comedian.
It happens.
Should in the community, should we be calling this out, or will they naturally get themselves exposed?
Well, it depends, right? So exposed suggests you want to punish them, which means you think that they did something on purpose.
I do almost because
So if
I've
they ripped it off a comedian that's famous, an American comedian, if they ripped it
yes,
off,
yeah, it was Ryan Long, or
oh God, I
Canadian then.
love Ryan Long. I shouldn't. He's such a misogynist, but
Oh,
fuck, I
but
love him.
guilty
Oh, he's
pleasure.
such a good comic,
Yeah.
man. And also, I
So
think
much better with his haircut as well.
his misogyny is playful. I love him so much. I think sometimes you have to put your principles at the door a little bit. Like I love Eminem, and it's not like he's not a homophobic misogynist. He's one of my favorite musicians of all time. Um, and art versus artist. I don't know. It depends how much I love the art. But like you think he's ripped off Ryan Long. So he either knows he's ripped off
It
Ryan
was
Long.
word for word.
Well, that's interesting.
Mm,
So in terms of exposing, if it were me, so whenever I see a comic who's doing a joke that another comic's doing, my assumption is that they have no idea because it won't be word for word, but they have
mm,
no idea that they've done it. And I go, you know what, you're doing so and so's joke, and you should just know. I'm sure you all thought, and I won't do it like arsehole. I'll be like, would you mind if I said something? I wouldn't say
mm,
gave advice or feedback.
mm,
I noticed something about your set. Is it okay if I tell you? And they'll say yes. And then you'll say, you're doing the exact joke as this other comic in our bracket of comedians, and you might want to know.
mm,
And if someone said that to me, I saw somebody doing the same routine as me the other day. There's no way either of us saw each other do it. And I was like, right, that routine's done because we thought similarly, which means it's not a super original thought, which means that I'm done doing it.
mm,
And if it's word for word, I would go up to the person and say, just so you know, I don't know if you know, assume that they don't know and just say
mm.
that's word for word a Ryan Long bit and give them the clip. And then if they carry on doing it, if you decide you're going to expose them, I'm not really sure what the point would be of that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I was torn between
how much do you want to shame people? It's already shameful enough that he's or she's taken the bit.
yeah.
It's not, they're not going to have a good long career if they can't write their own stuff. So who cares, right?
No, and the bit I sort of stopped on because as it was at an open mic, I thought he might just be wanting to get the confidence on stage.
I still
So
don't think that's okay, but it's not something that I would shame someone over. Like this one guy did it, they'd ripped like people do that. They do rip stuff off, and maybe the thing is, right, if I see a contemporary ripping off a contemporary and they refuse to stop it, like there was a thing where this one guy ripped off another guy, I won't say the names, but it's fairly well known. And he just did it. It was shocking. And his reputation amongst comics is pretty much dirt
mm,
because he refused to admit it, he refused to acknowledge it. So somebody made a video of the two side by side and like he'd literally ripped off this bit. And it's not like an open micer ripping off a famous comic to get confidence on stage. While it's not the right way to do things, it's a very, very different thing from two working comics and one like ripping off the other one. But I
mm.
don't think it happens that much. I haven't seen it happen that much.
No,
I
it
think
was the
there's
first
a lot
time I
of
saw it.
parallel
That's why
thinking.
I
Huh?
wanted to it's the first time I'd ever seen it. That's why I
Yeah.
wanted to sort of ask the questions like,
If it were
where's the
me,
etiquette amongst comics?
I'd go up to the person and be like, I don't know if you know this, but this. Because that would be enough. That should be enough to embarrass them into never doing it again.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, well, so I learn as much of this as like my viewers do. So, it's always appreciated speaking to experienced, good
I would
comedians.
always err on the side of not being cruel to someone. I would err on the side of taking the view that they either don't know or they don't know that it's not cool to do it. Like, but if I saw someone who I work with ripping off another comic that I work with, I would assume it's parallel thinking and I would let them know.
Mm,
And I would assume 9.5 times out of 10, they would be, oh my God, I'm never going to do that bit again, or let's see who did it first. But
mm.
it's a very unlikely thing that they would be like, yeah, I took it and I'm going to keep doing it. Like, it's too rare to even worry about.
Okay. It was literally the first time I saw it on Saturday. So I was I'm going to ask this question to some people.
It's not surprising that somebody brand new would rip off a bit from a famous comic. That doesn't surprise me at all. I just don't think that they'd see it as ripping off so much as they're trying really hard to get up on stage. Getting up on stage is really hard. And they probably, there's this Ira Glass quote about you do the thing you love, but your taste is amazing, but your skill is not. So like liking Ryan Long is having great taste, in my opinion. I'm sure a lot of feminists would disagree. I'm a feminist too. I just think he's really funny. But it means you've got great taste, but maybe your skill doesn't match it yet because you've only been going for a bit. So it might be subconscious, it might not be
Yeah.
subconscious, but it's whilst it's not ever okay to do someone else's routine ever, it's the only time I would kind of go, all right, I kind of get it if it's someone's like first gig and they freak out and they're terrified and they do that. It's not the right way to start though.
No. Yeah, completely agree. Andrea, you've been absolutely brilliant. Thank you ever so much for coming on. I've really
Thank you.
appreciated it.
No problem. I'm sorry I've been more serious than funny.
No, no, it's I'm not. I'm like this is. It's whilst talking to comedians, this is more of a serious. There's
Yeah,
funny
no,
moments, but
yeah.
it is for people to learn and
I
actually
always
listen to
worry
the
that they
advice.
expect me to be hilarious, and I'm like, man, it's 10 in the morning. I'm not going to be hilarious.
No, that's absolutely brilliant. Have you got any advice for any new comedians?
I don't give advice. The only thing I would ever do is if I saw a tag, I would ask them if it was okay to give them the tag, and I'd give them the tag. Like I gave one to this girl Maple the other day, and it killed. And I was so happy, and she was so happy. But the only advice is the same advice you'd give everyone, which is gig as much as you possibly can, and don't worry if you bomb, because it doesn't mean anything. It just doesn't mean anything. You know, if you're learning to roller skate, you're going to fall down a bunch. That doesn't mean you're not going to learn to roller skate.
Hmm.
And you're going to really hurt yourself, but you just have to keep, if you want it, if you love it, you will keep getting up, even though you're going to bomb a lot. And you should bomb a lot. If you're not bombing, you're not doing anything interesting.
Hmm.
If you're not bombing in your first couple of years, you're only doing the same type five, and that's all you're doing. I
Yeah,
don't think it's very
try to be
interesting.
safe. All
Yeah. Well, I don't know, man. Be safe when you're trying out at a club. Be very safe at a club, but you don't need to be safe everywhere.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Angela, thank you ever so much. Really
No
appreciate this.
problem. Let me know when it's coming out.
I will do. Thank you.
No problem.